Cause it's the new year, new year, new year. Oh. Sorry, my bad, not my forte, but every once in a while you gotta bust into song and dance, you know? And with that, happy 2024. And today, happy 2024. We're gonna talk a little bit about Rory's square hinge and a drill that he's been doing quite a bit after just shooting a 62 bogey-free round of golf at the DP Dubai Desert, blah blah, whatever it's called. But we'll see him doing this drill a bunch, right? Where he's going straight back and then up, right? Straight back, up, really working his arm swing. But the way I feel his movement and the way I want my customers, clients, students to feel his movement that is like his all-powerful movement is that like once he does get to here, he really winds that hip back and into the front leg. He lets this off of that heel rotate him into his front side, then he's really rotating and pushing and using the ground to his advantage. In doing so, all of that helps him release the club and have an incredible amount of efficiency with his arms. So he's working on getting up here and creating a little bit more stretch, a little bit more pivot, but we don't see him working on this move. So most of us that watch him practicing this are gonna work on that arm swing and avoid working on the thing, or not because of any fault of our own, but just an unawareness and ignorance of what he's really doing, of letting him really load into that front leg. I feel like I just kind of let my arms float here. I'm obviously not as good as he is, nowhere near, right? So I'm not working that arm swing and that hinge nearly as much. What I'm working on is just feeling like I am transferring my weight, letting my arms, to me, what really feels like floating. I feel like I'm moving in here, not just with my shoulders, but in here, in the pivot, in the turn, in pushing my core back, right? So I am just kind of floating to there. The club has the tendency to just kind of kick up if our hands are soft. We're going to talk about that in the next video on what a real square hinge feels like. For this video, we're really going to focus on a two-part move. One, just creating width and turn in our chest, in our abdomen, even in our hips, anywhere but in just shoulders and in just arms, right? I can't just do that with shoulders and arms. I'm stuck and I'll lift after that. I won't be turning and I won't be coiling, I won't be stretching and rotating. So I want to feel like nice float to there. By the time I get to here, all my weight is in that back leg. All my weight is in that flex, in that heel. So now all I want to feel from there is just me let it wind into that feel of it transferring me forward. Let it wind me forward and then rotate through and off the ground. This lets the lower body do 90% of the work, which is what we want to feel. We want to let that lower body develop the speed for us. We don't want to be sourcing our arms for speed because that gets wild, that gets steep, that gets outside the line, and we just lose a lot of consistency. When I create this width here, and I just let it kick up rather than me really hinging and lifting, if I get here and my hands and arms are soft enough, just let it kick up, I can really coil and work off the ground. And in doing so, we find a lot of efficiency. That's where we see Rory develop these speeds that are astronomical. 125, 130 mile an hour club head speed, 200 mile an hour ball speed when he wants it, right? He tones it down and usually hits it at about 185. So imagine being able to develop all this speed down here and swing at 90, 95% and create 110, 115 mile an hour club head speed, 100 for some of us, and get the majority of our speed from our body and the looseness and the softness of our arms. This is in conjunction with the next video and our ability to just release our right arm rather than really developing speed through our right arm. And in the next video, we'll really talk about that. But do me a favor, and the next time you go hit balls, try and let your arms get here really softly. You don't have to hinge the club up. There's a lot of momentum by the time we get here. It's gonna keep going. You're not gonna get here and then stop it. It won't happen. That's a terribly unnatural movement, even more unnatural than the golf swing is. So if I can feel like I get here And then I just let it load into that hip, let that load me into the front foot, and then go. You won't find the difficulty, the problem of hanging back. You won't find yourself swaying. You won't find your hips swaying. And you'll find so much efficiency and ease in swinging a golf club with the lower half of the ground rather than arms in our hands. So just think of it as two parts. One, right? And then load up. You saw I didn't even lift my arms. Once they were done getting to here, I didn't lift them, I just went. So shorten your golf swing, keep it really compact. Keep your arms moving in conjunction with your spine, with your core, and with your pivot, rather than them flying independent. Once they start going independent, once I get here and they lift, they're driving the show. They're really doing all the work, and you've lost a lot of the lower body's ability to work off the ground and the balance that we feel there. And the arms are just trying to time it up. For really good athletes, that's just our hand-eye coordination we're trying to utilize more so than anything else, rather than the sequence of movements that dictate speed and efficiency in the golf swing. So again, we want to feel like we get here, all our weight is on that heel, flex of that leg. Arms have created a lot of width, I haven't hinged. I just let them go straight back. Then let the hip wind and deliver. I hope it helps. It's a ton of fun. If you want to make it a little bit more interesting, you can try and increase the the hinge. You can feel a little pull up, a little square hinging rather than roll hinging. Most of us, and this is tapping into the next lesson, most of us roll, right? Most of us roll our forearms, kicks the butt end out, club head gets really inside, crosses, and it gets steep coming down and goes outside to cross. We'll talk about that on the next one, but you can work a little bit of that feel of really just getting your core and your chest to here and create a little bit of hinge rather than letting it roll hinge. Nice and square hinge. Square hinge. We'll get to that one next. Hopefully this is really helpful. Hope you enjoy it. Let it flow back. Let it wind into that front foot. Wind off of that. Notice my hip is going that way. Into the front foot. Head is staying back. Drive. Soft arms, people. Soft arms is always one of the greatest last thoughts before going through anything. Mine is usually soft arms, watch impact. Hopefully it helps. Happy New Year.